some children will develop at different stages. Some are going to be more, have an aptitude towards coordination than others. So how do you recognise it without it being misdiagnosed, if you like?
Well, in the early years, we would obviously teach and evaluate children doing a range of skills, and particularly for 3-4-year-olds, when often difficulties can be more apparent. A lot of times mums and dads will tell you that they noticed from, much earlier than that their child had difficulties and struggled and resisted to do things that they wanted them to do. For example, cutting, beading, threading, building, all of those skills that you would expect 3- and 4-year-olds to be able to do. A lot of times children with dyspraxia will find those very difficult, and the more you try and encourage and do them with children, the less they will want to, because it's difficult for them. When it comes to handwriting, when they actually start tracing and copying, they will find that very difficult. You will tend to see very spidery writing, or also the opposite, where a child doesn't have a very good idea. Their proprioception mightn't be very good, and they won't have a very good idea of how much and how heavily they should lean on a pencil or a crane, whatever. Obviously, to remedy that, you can use a range of writing implements and tools, not just pencils, and with grips, and there's all sorts of things that can be done. Particularly as well, to develop these skills, children should have lots of exposure to multisensory activities, Play-Doh, getting their hands as messy as possible, and then specific exercises to try and develop those skills too. So in school, that's what we will be looking at. And children who have, obviously some children can find that difficult. We're looking at difficulties that are persistent and pervasive, and they're there long term as well. And then obviously when we investigate and look at history, we will see that these difficulties have been present for quite some time.
I would like to add that for all of these neurodevelopmental conditions, the others being autism spectrum, ADHD and other hyperactivity conditions, ODD or obsessive defined disorders, and all of these conditions, the most important thing is that there is an issue or a problem with function in daily life. All of us can be slightly on the spectrum with any of these. That means we might have some traits which make us interesting, quirky, but if they start interfering in your daily life, that's when you need an expert or somebody who has the expertise to go through the severity of the problems and then try and identify what the actual diagnosis is. So especially with dyspraxia, it's really important that if these concerns are raised, that the children or the young people see a specialist, expert, developmental pediatrician or a neurodevelopmental pediatrician, and have all the other sinister diagnoses ruled out so that we can concentrate on identifying dyspraxia as a problem.